The Macro Cine lens space is a pretty undersaturated portion of the cine lens market, but recently a few companies have decided to release cine versions of their popular stills lenses. One of those companies is IRIX, and this is their new 150mm T3 Cine lens. This new lens from IRIX is based on their very well-received 150mm macro lens, but has had several improvements to make it more friendly to work with for video and cinema applications. The lens has a decently smooth and consistent manual focus and iris control, a 270-degree focus throw, and an industry-standard 0.8 pitch gears for use with autofocuses. The witness marks are available in either metric or imperial, and the marks themselves are engraved and filled with UV paint, which means they are much easier to read in low light conditions. The lens is constructed of 12 elements in 9 groups, has an 11 round bladed iris and a 75-degree iris throw. It has both the option to use an 86mm front filter thread or 95mm clamp on matte box. It's roughly 130mm in length and weighs in between 1,105 to 1,175 grams depending on the mount. The minimum focus is 35cm, which gives you a 1:1 focus magnification. This means your subject at close focus will be 22.1cm away from the front of the lens. This isn't a bad minimum working distance. One thing I don't like, however, is the front cap. IRIX should have made this flat instead of rounded. When placing the lens face down with the cap on, it's going to be extremely easy for the lens to fall over. We managed to get hold of this lens from our supplier, but they only had it in E-mount. However, it is also available in PL, EF and MFT as well. Luckily, we had a Sony Venice on hand to shoot some tests with. For this, we managed to grab a gorgeous Japanese knife that Gary, our lens engineer, has and shoot some more creative test shots. We shot in a few different modes and shot across various apertures between T5.6 and 32. We shot a range of vegetables and fruits as well as some detailed shots of the knives. The lens did a really good job at rendering high detailed areas and handled specular highlights from the fruit really well with only minimal CA. We experienced a couple of weird flares here and there, but using the included lens hood got rid of it really quickly. Let's take a look at some more controlled tests, but we will be referencing the shots we've just looked at here also. For these controlled tests, we shot again with our Venice in 6K 3x2 XOCN ST with a base ISO of 2500, 25p and a 180-degree shutter. We shot wide open at T3, T4 and T5.6. This lone copy of the lens had seen better days, so a couple of the aperture blades were out of alignment, and you can also see this in the bokeh at some points, but this is a really easy fix. Wide open, you get some cat's eye bokeh towards the edges of the frame, which improves as you stop down. The bokeh itself is pretty clean with only a little bit of texture to it and a slight highlight going around it. During these chart tests, the bokeh looks clean of aberrations. However, when shooting with much brighter bokeh in the frame, you can see that these brighter highlights have a small amount of CA. Stop down, you can see the aperture blades, but it is still decently round. Wide open, the flare is soft with a little bit of veiling glare across the frame. The flare stays pretty similar when stopping down, but as you do, the flare cleans up a little bit and the veiling glare is still present though. The breathing on this lens, as you expect from a macro, is pretty bad. As you pull from the close focus to infinity, you have a lot of movement, but this isn't a surprise. I don't think many people are going to be pulling that far very often with this lens. For our coverage tests, we shot using our A7 III and used our light box to keep a consistent exposure amount of light across the image. We then tested the lens at close focus and infinity at T3, f4 and 5.6. At close focus, the exposure is pretty consistent and covers the frame fully with only a little light fall off towards the corners and no hard vignetting. At infinity, there is some light loss towards the corners of frame, which is worse when wide open and then improves as you stop down. Though this amount of light loss would not be noticeable unless you put it into an extreme scenario such as these tests. Our focus chart tests show that the lens is extremely sharp wide open at both close focus and 3 meters. Wide open, you can see a little bit of CA, but as you stop down, this gets better controlled. You can also see how much better it renders detail towards the corners of frame by looking at these charts as you stop down. Distortion looks very well controlled with pretty much no noticeable signs whatsoever. So in conclusion, the IRIX 150mm T3 is a welcomed new option to the Macro Cine lens market. It's sharp, well built, handles chromatic aberration well, and is a great sign of what to expect in the future as IRIX produce and release more Cine lenses. Let us know what you think of the lens in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit like and make sure you're subscribed.